going to be a mount the wipers, wiper motor. I'm trying to hang it out the bottom here flat, and then it'll spin inside like a helicopter to work the transmission for the wipers. Trying to get it up as high and tight as I can, because I got to mount the vintage air right in here too. This car used to have the wipers right here, but out into the trunk area. So now we're doing a custom engine bay and everything's cool. We want to put the wiper motor back here. So trying to find a cool way to do that. Like if I mounted it up here, there ain't enough rotation room. It goes up outside the body. So I'm trying to go down inside the cowl area like it always was originally, but still have room for everything else. So coming up with this, these 3 bolts mount the wiper motor, and then the little transmission comes through here and hooks to the arms going to the actual wipers. Spin around. Might have to clearance this out once I hook all the bars up, but I don't know. I like to start small. I can keep going bigger instead of cutting a big old hole and not needing it all. But right now it's just a matter of, you know, getting this piece on here and moving forward. I got to put a couple tacks in here once I know that's where this is. The hood hinges are in here, so it'd be nice to bring it over here and have this area for the vintage air, but the hood hinges are inside there. Wiper motor will be right there. This little hole I drilled is my limit to go this way, so that's got to go there. Vintage air will go down here. Just trying to jam a bunch of stuff in without it hanging too low. You figure the motor's gonna be here and the vintage air's gonna be all the way on the floor, so chances are all of this ain't gonna work because we just ain't gonna like how low the vintage air's hanging. Now if I can bring the vintage air out in front of it and raise it up, then it'll get it all high and everything will be great. But you got to start somewhere, so I'll make this little mount to hold the motor, and then we'll hold the vintage air unit in place, and then if everything's jiving right there, then we'll go inside and see if the motor and the transmission for the wipers actually jive inside the cowl. Because we brought the motor so far back and the motor's raised up so high, the whole cowl section for the wipers is very, very small. So it's jamming a lot of shit in a little box, and everything's got to spin around and go back and forth and stuff. So it's not just a matter of getting it in there, it's getting it in there and letting it actually operate freely. That's the challenge. You want to look inside there, you'll see what I'm talking about. So here's the top view of where we were just looking at. As I said, here's all the hood hinges and stuff, and there's a little hole I drilled so that from inside I know this is my limit to come over this way. If you can picture this piece underneath with this cut out, and it'll give me room for my twirly bird to spin around on the wiper, and that'll move all this back and forth, back and forth. So I have to cut all this down and have this doing a circle thing. So it's going to be moving around and around, which will pull this back and forth. But it's got to make a full circle, so I got to clear this shit, clear the wall here, and then keep it all up and out of the way of vintage air. So the challenges never stop on this car. So once I get that tacked in, if this is riding too high, it won't pass underneath this piece or this piece. So it all has to be low enough for everything to work. That's the challenge of it. And then still have room for the vintage air. So this piece is a mount section. It's made out of 12 gauge to keep the torque down. I might have to keep dropping it down. And then, like I said, if I get the vintage air out in the front of it, then we'll be okay. If not, then everything's a bigger challenge. So nobody thinks it's cool to have your wiper motor on top of the hood. So we got to hide it somewhere. Everybody wants all the functions. So, like if we could put that in there and mount the wipers here with the shaft going up through there and everything clear, it would be a perfect world. But chances are this thing's probably gonna have to come back, come down, and all kinds of bullshit, and then we'll just have to build a bigger side leg. This may need to be cleared out for the transmission bar. to work through. I don't know, there's just a lot of shit going on. You don't know until you get there. So that's why I say I'll cut the smallest hole that I can deal with. Figure out what I gotta do. If everything works hunky-dory and that's that, alright. Chances are I'm feeling like they'd have to come down and back because of the firewall and whatnot, and be a whole fucking end of the world situation here. Just because there's no room up there and so much going on. But we're getting ready to find out how bad it is. How to get this trick on there like that. Put this piece in here like this. Ideally that right there would be cool. Get the vintage air in the front of it, but I don't know how far out I can come. But if I hold this here and then go look at the outside, it's probably really,
You want me to hold it?
really crazy.
You want me to hold it so you can look?
I'll be able to hold it for my face. Spin around. So hard to turn that motor, but if you look at the length of this, it could just be barely clearing that. This will mount up on top of there. So just a matter of that height there. I might have to straighten that out and take that jog out of there and make it all flat so that I can clear down here. Then we'll have to see how much of this I gotta clear out for that. So as long as it swings under this like that, as long as I got enough room for it to swing back this way, I might have to cut this out a little more just for the rotation of it. Because while it's going back and forth, it's going to be going around and around. So I may get lucky when it's going out, maybe around that corner. When it's out, it may not hit. Or it goes luck. My luck goes the way it always goes. I'll have to cut all that out. But that's what I was thinking there. And then that little notch in the back lets this motor swing through this way so that I can stay clear of all of this. And I might have to make a flat arm the same distance and everything just flat to clear this because I can't get much up height. It'll work. Yep. It just wipers everything.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. That's cool. Got to figure out a way to mount her up. Put some bars. Been down, they're way out there. Now I feel like, man, how far out my pedals gonna be? I get this shit figured out, you know what I'm saying? Notch that, I can't come in very much further because the hood hinges are all in there.
And that square tube you put in there, that's for strength?
This here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just what we mount, that's how we do it. So we put all this in, it's like a cage, basically. So we'll build brackets off of here to hold the vintage air, and brackets off of here to hold this. You know, we're mounting a fuse box, so we'd have a bracket off of here and a fuse box instead of mounting anything to the firewall. Because if you spot weld or screw or bolt anything to the firewall, then it could show in the body work or whatever. So we work our hardest to shave the whole firewall, and then we build this little system behind the firewall. So if you got a ground, you can screw a ground to this or mount things off of this, and it never affects the firewall. The firewall won't even weld to this, it just floats behind it. So with the heat, that firewall can expand and contract, then you'll never get little dimples from anything welded or hanging off of it. just a little safer thing to keep the body work and fit and finish super high end for a longer time. Not to mention, it's just worked out great for us as far as doing a little system like this, and you know, like for example, when I hang this up in here, I could build brackets out off of this system. I could come off of this bar and come up to the back of this and make a mount where I can bolt it there. That'll all stay there in the car. I can unbolt this in and out. Same thing with my vintage air on that side. I'll build a tab off of here or whatever, and the vintage air will bolt to that, and then there'll be a front bracket holding the vintage air. Something we've done in a couple different cars. It's just all tacked together now because I can move these bars around if I need them for different something, or I can add more bars to it. Then I'll pull this out on the bench and weld it all up. Then we'll put it back in and weld it to the exterior of the car. Also add strength for the whole front of the car. Adds a little structure in the front end area, and then when you're pressing on the brake and everything really hard, you're pressing against this basically like a roll cage versus just the sheet metal of the Firewall. Now granted, we would layer up that metal and stuff and make it thicker, but it's still never as strong as like the square tubing setup that we're building. We started doing this a couple of builds ago, had really great luck with it. Even through final assembly, it makes things a lot easier. But then there'll be the upholstery guy, they'll do a little fake cover over all that with plastic or wood or whatever they use, and it'll all be covered in carpet except for where our little brackets and tabs hang out off of it. So you never know this is in there. You would think it's just carpet on the Firewall, but it's actually not. It's just a lot of strength in there. So worked out really good for us. We keep using it now, and hopefully if you're going to try it, it'll work out good for you. We've had a lot of luck with it. So the hard part is finding out where to start and hanging this big old sucker because it's so heavy.
It's a big one.
It's heavy and bulky, and trying to get it in there where it needs to be and measure up your brackets and your whatnots tends to be a little bit of a pain in the ass.
And that's a brake assembly out of a Tesla, is that right?
Nah, not the whole assembly. The pedal assembly is aftermarket piece. Kugel, I think. All this stuff here is Tesla, and then this section here is Rad Rides by Troy. So he makes this billet reservoir that's more hot rod friendly than Tesla's big reservoir, and it fits onto the Tesla thing. So all this is Tesla. Instead of having vacuum operated power brakes, now we have electric power brakes from the Tesla car. They work a lot more efficient. You don't have to worry about having a big cam or too big a cam to create the vacuum for the brakes. So some hot rod motors, you don't get good brakes because of the vacuum's not there, so you got to use manual brakes. With this setup, we have extremely well brakes that puts a lot of power to those big calipers, and we can do whatever we want with the motor because we're not worried for vacuum. So we started using this unit. You can buy, I believe you can buy the whole package through Rad Rides by Troy, but I know we got this from Rad Rides by Troy. And then this bracket here is an under dash unit. It mounts everything up under here, and then the pedal moves like that, like normal. It just, you know, when you're working the pedal, it pushes the thing that way instead of being sticking out on the Firewall. Because nobody wants this ugly shit on the Firewall. We just shaved the Firewall. So we find ways to mount this under here. But with this tapering down and back, it's making this, mounting this a little bit difficult. But I think I got it. Just not much room there because we put the motor so far back because there's a lot of motor in what was the trunk. But we're working our way through it. Like I said many times, bracket will come off of here and hold this. Then it'll have some gussets going down. There'll be a bar coming down here and they'll all be reinforced. And then some brackets over there. And that's about all I'm going to put under here. My fuse box and everything and all the normal shit that would be under a dash and clutters it all up will be located in the walls in the trunk. Pull the panel down and all my fuses, my computer for the motor, relays, everything are all right there. Pop the trunk, look in the trunk, work on what you need to work on instead of trying to break your back underneath here with all the vintage air duct work and all that shit. It gets busy under here with no wires, so we've learned ways to get our wires out from under there. We got to work on something that's in the trunk, or on a truck we put it behind the seat. That should probably be a video that we show you guys some one of these days too. It's another pretty neat setup that we started doing. You guys can learn some things off of that, maybe, or maybe you think it sucks, I don't know, but it worked out really well for us. If anybody's ever tried to change a fuse on, say, anything, let's just say a C10 truck, and you're laying upside down off the seat and you're holding on the steering wheel and the fuse box is right here, that sucks. Then you pull the fuse out and realize that ain't the problem anyway, and you gotta put it back in. We put them right behind the seat. You fold the seat up and you look and like, oh, fuses are good. It's not that. Or maybe it is a bad fuse. Or maybe it ain't the problem. It's just keeping under the dash clean. So, little tricks and tips. And when you're watching all these videos, you're getting deep into the build on these cars. You see all the behind the scenes stuff, what I call it. This is the parts of the car that you never get to see if you just see the car done at the show. So the good thing for the videos, it shows you all of this shit, and this is what we're doing. So love it or hate it, it's what we're doing. But right now, that's a big old honky thing here. Gonna try and mount it. I'll get it all mounted up here in a minute, and then we'll move over to the vintage air box, and then you'll see real fast how cluttered it gets under here. So I need a couple pieces put on here. Gonna hang down. And I need a piece up here. That I can get in there. Bring this up a lot higher. Plenty of room there. That's just so wide, so much shit hanging off of it.
You're basically just playing around with the idea of possibly using this out of a Corvette.
Yeah, it's a Corvette's telescopic, so we could wire it all up. It would come to you, up and down, tilt, and telescopic. We were going to try and, if I can use that, it's got paddle shift, the blinkers, wiper switch, all that shit. Try to wire all that into the car so we could use as much OEM feel, and then we just make a new steering wheel and wrap the steering wheel. So then we'd have paddle shift and all of that stuff, just like a Vet would have. But like sitting here on the floor, it looks like a simple 4-post mount and everything, and it is. But with the brakes underneath the dash, everything wants the same room. So to get the column up high enough for the steering wheel to feel right in the car, the brakes are in the way. And if I raise the brakes up, then the pedal's too high off the floor. So in a factory situation, you know, if you put pad and everything down here, it'd be about 1 inch thick. With carpet and pad and insulation, it's about 1 inch higher. So if you take a tape measure off the carpet to the bottom of your brake pedal, it's about 6 inches. So with no pad, nothing, I have 7 inches here. So if I raise this up higher to make room for the steering column, then my arm is up too high. Your brake pedal will look weird. So if I bring the steering column below this, then the steering wheel looks too low. That looks weird and feels weird. So I'm in a battle of everything needs to be in the same spot. The car's gonna have brakes under here because there's no room in there. So I'll probably have to switch to an old school style column and have regular blinkers and all of that shit. It was just trying to add a little more cool stuff into the car, but sometimes it don't all work out. Got to save a trick for another car, which sucks because this car could use a lot of tricks. I'm not done yet. Got to keep doing the fight. Try to figure something out. See how I can lean that out, lean it down, something. I've already moved all the motors and stuff around so that they'll clear the brakes and whatnot, but it just needs a little more work. Couple things I hate. I hate aftermarket steering columns, tilts. They all look the same in every car. Aftermarket shifters, they all look the same in every car. You have the car badass from end to end, super high-end interior, and your eye goes to the same shifter that everybody has, or the same steering column that everybody has. So we've been trying out different things to try to break that game. So we use a lot of OEM different shifters. We've used Audi, we've used Nissan, we use a lot of GM Camaro shifters. And then we'll decorate them with the knob or whatever, something different. Steering columns, it's touchy, you know, you don't have a lot of room and there's not a lot of options. So you got all the I did it's and the flaming rivers and everything. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. It's just when you're trying for that something different, that look, when you look inside, like, wow, that thing looks like a high-end OEM car. Well, you need some of those parts sometimes. Maybe I'll put this column in and then square this all off and make it look more like an OEM style column, kind of square, instead of the round tube sticking out a flat dash. Maybe I can do something like that, but then the tilt section of all that starts to get weird. But I got a little bit of an idea. If I do a tilt column and I squared it off and made a square and ran that square down into the dashboard area and then put a slot where that square could tilt around this pole and it be inside the dash to where you don't see that big slot in the back of my square, then it may still tilt and everything and be a square kind of modern column. So I'm playing with that. That's probably where I'm gonna have to go, just because of all of this stuff's right here now. The car has to have brakes and it has to steer, and they all have to go in the same spot. So probably gonna do that, if you can wrap your head around that. This is just a mock-up column. But if I did a tilt column and squared it off like the modern style, and then in the back put like a slot like this in it to where that whole box could tilt around this, then the part of the column that you see would have more of a modern feel, something different, squared off. I know I ain't the only one to do a square column, but it'll be my first one in a hot rod car like this. And it's something that I'm thinking, that's why I was really trying to use that. Couple of reasons, that telescopic and then the squareness. This one won't have the telescopic, but maybe I can make it square and it'll still have the tilt like that one. It just won't all be power, or just have a lever and tilt it. Don't know. Playing with options right now. It's all part of it. It's what I call scratching the noodle. The shit just don't fly together. If it flew together, it'd be easy. This is some of the hard parts. Placing everything, fitting everything. You know, pedals over, up and down, forward and back to where your seat is, your steering column up and down, forward and back. And sometimes what feels the most comfortable looks like shit when you close the door. Steering wheel's way up or way down. All of that has to be thought out. Like, we'll put the seats in, we'll shut the doors, we'll stand back. It's got to look good this way. It's got to look good this way. And then it's got to be centered this way. That's just the steering wheel. Then the brakes and the pedals all got to have their perfect spot. And then all them perfect spots all got to play together. It's like the Bermuda Triangle. You got the gas pedal, brake pedal, and the steering wheel all fighting for the same spot. It's a kind of a touchy thing, but when you get it right, it feels good to the driver, the car owner, and then it looks good on the eye. So we really got to take our time right here and get it figured out. Yeah, there's ain't no room. I ain't even fucking with that anymore. Do that. Make it happen, Captain.
And you can't extend that brake pedal lever to give you more room?
No, because it's not, it can't get up. I need the steering column to come up. If I put this in there, it's just too much.
Oh, you need a column to go.
Yeah, it's too low. See how low it is?
Oh, yeah.
I need it up like right through the middle of all this. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where that skinny column, it's smaller. I can get it up higher, right? And get it where I need it. And it all work together. Like this is super cool. And I seen that flat mount. I'm like, shit, I'll make a cool mount and get all this working. It'll be cool. But it just ain't, like if this wasn't here, it would work. But gotta have brakes because I have no room under the hood with all the turbo shit to put this under the hood. So and it's like, then the width of it has me way off of where I need to be. But now you see what I'm saying about how low the steering wheel looks in the car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's tilted up.
Oh, that's all the way up.
Yeah, that's tilted up. So that all sucks. But anyway. Throw that behind me and move forward. I gotta get this mounted up better and then get the vintage air box mounted in. Gotta hold that in now and make sure these two like aren't gonna fight for space. And then rock and roll it. This door get locked. This has to come in, and of course, yeah, can't put no fucking vents on it. It's always something. Too much shit in there. So I gotta put the ductwork. Gotta get the ductwork to go on here. It'll be pinched off with that.
Yeah, you don't have much room under here.
No, it's a skinny car. Skinny car, and we're putting a lot of shit where it didn't used to go. And this is all pretty big, you know. I can get smaller stuff, but we want to use what this is good for. And this is the biggest vintage air unit, so we got the max cool. But had to do a little something here.
Start scratching that noodle.
I have to scoot the brakes over a little bit to fix this problem. I'll slide them that way. They give me a little bit to where I can get the vents on, vent hoses, where you don't want them all smashed off like that.
Can you get like 90-degree bend?
No, it's just a fucking accordion boot style thing.
Oh, okay.
Which I can bend them right around, but I need a little bit of a room so it's not pinched off. If I scoot that an inch, that'll probably do that. Get that. And then this will mount up in here about like that. Well, I'm gonna take this bracket off, and I can just hold the bracket and maybe measure behind it and find out what all I need to do to make everything happen. Or just tell me, like, I don't like the way this feels.
I think
It's hard to
sucks.
guess. It's no.
No, I think it feels good.
Your pistol poking your leg.
Yeah. Poking me in the thigh there.
It doesn't feel like it's too low. I thought, man, I might re-drill the bolt pattern or raise it up a half an inch, but it can't go up too high.
Where are you at? Like distance in and out? Is that where you're wanting
Well,
it to be?
that's my thing. I'm looking for a happy medium because the seat's all the way back.
I know.
If I bring the steering wheel back
What
where
if
you're
we
comfortable,
unbolt this and scoot the seat up a little?
it doesn't tell me anything. You unbolted the seat. I need the seats to move the way I know.
I get that, but I
You see
mean,
what I mean?
we can't move the seat.
That's why I'm in a guesstimation of my steering wheel money.
I think it's fine because I can reach it.
That's all
I
we
can
stretch
reach
back.
it.
You know you'll get
Yeah,
closer
exactly.
from there. Where if I brought the
Right.
steering wheel to you, then you go too
Oh,
close.
yeah.
You can't get away from it.
No.
So I'm like, if this is a happy medium of everything,
Yeah.
like your seat's all the way back.
And I can still reach it, so
Yeah,
I think you'll be
then
fine.
You can come forward. You want to tighten up in race mode.
I think the brake pedal's too heavy.
That's what I said, and he said we had to cut that thing.
I don't know about that much. It needs to be up here.
I
That's
know.
like 4 inches.
So
Man,
when,
we'll have to look at that.
so when you're playing, it look like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I said trying to raise that up. I'm out of real estate back there. Then it has to come way out here when the dash can't. You know what I mean? So I'm like
Yeah.
trapped there. So I'm hoping I can adjust that arm.
I think
That's my
so.
thing. This stuff here usually don't bother me, but I have somewhat of a dash and things that go by. But this car, I got nothing right now.
Yeah.
And I get it. They're gonna scan what I put in, but I want it to be what they scan be right. But
Right.
yeah, when I had the brake pedal up, I had it at 6 inches off the floor, and it was out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then it was like far back. The brake pedal was far
Right.
back.
Did you check the travel? I guess there's plenty. It's got to be plenty.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I haven't checked that. It's just
It's
then
never
I
going to
can
go to
bring
the floor
pedal
anyway.
Up too, you know, it's
Oh.
adjusted here.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I wasn't worried about that. My thing was the height off the floor and then the steering wheel location.
Yeah, I think the steering wheel's good.
Good. Like, it looks all right in the door. Seems low sometimes, but then it's like above the door.
Well, I mean, that was all the way down. That's right. That's neutral there, you know what I mean? Straight. Even that would be good if the seat was up. I would be fine with it straight. And it, you know, tilt up to get in and out. I hardly ever go past. I never go like that.
But
But
it's always in your legs.
yeah.
That's kind of what I looked at. I was like, well, straight feels good. I
Yeah.
can come down, and then it gets up to get out of the way.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's why it was like, I'm all right in the height. I could maybe go up a half inch, but I wouldn't go up too much because then it starts getting too truck looking.
Yeah.
You know, where it's kicked up.
Yeah.
So I like that angle look. I'm just worried about this. I don't want to order a steering column that's a couple inches too
I know,
short.
right.
So, but considering we can move the seat up, I was liking it there, or I wouldn't have had you sit in it. I just wanted to.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. All I need is the seat forward a couple inches and I'd be good.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna get a column ordered.
And right there, I mean, just picturing, well, I don't know. Hopefully we can get the gauges right in there. That way you can see through the steering wheel.
Yeah, I'm assuming with the
Yeah.
vintage air, we're going to bring the dash out, you know,
Yeah.
so the gauges will be right in here.
Right in there,
The
yeah.
shifter won't be there.
Right.
And that's what I was telling Tim. I want to build like the sheet metal stuff more like a square, you
Yeah.
know, so it's more modern car, and have a steering wheel made to fit that square.
Mm-hmm.
Something different. It's just going to be getting a square beveled edge to do the tilt thing, which this round does the tilt. It's just making it all happen.
Yeah.
truthfully, I'd like to have just this hanging out of the dashboard, really.
Yeah.
Let the dash come out to about there, more, so it's not all that, where all the other dashes are here.
Right.
But that's what's throwing me off. Like, this distance here looks way too far, but then the chair's way back, so it's like, nah. Am I even close to right? If you picture the dash like coming right here, then this distance looks fine.
Right.
The chair could come up.
That's the other thing that sucks, like it, because as you move up, I guess it won't be though. When it moves on the tracks, you'll still be down low.
Yeah, it moves flat on the tracks. You can raise the whole seat up and down.
Which I'm guessing are all the way down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. The only other thing that's scary is like, we ain't gonna get much more forward.
It'll come forward a little bit. When I
little,
had it
yeah.
running, I had it there.
But I mean, with the tunnel here,
Right. Well, I mean, I had it cardboard up there to run it up to it. It comes.
I guess we're gonna do a little kick over here anyway, so hopefully the seat would go over that a little bit, over the exhaust, and then the tunnel. This is like right here. Yeah, I think it'll be good.
Roll with that. Order it up. See what they got.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see more build videos like this, help us out by liking, commenting, and subscribing to our channel. And it's a little thing to do, but don't forget to turn on those notifications. If you want to buy merch, go to store.classiccarstudio.com. See you next time.